The detention facility on Titan Station hummed with the usual blend of recycled air and nervous energy. Marcus Webb had been assigned to the xenobiology ward for 3 months now, long enough to grow accustomed to the strange and the terrible. But nothing prepared him for the sight of the creature in Cell 7. She towered nearly 4 meters tall, even seated. Her skin shimmered between deep violet and midnight blue, like oil on water. 4 arms hung limp at her sides, bound by energy restraints that crackled with each slight movement. Her eyes, large and luminous gold, tracked every person who passed her reinforced glass cell. Most hurried by without looking. Those who did look quickly turned away. The official designation read, Hostile Combatant, Extreme Threat Level, Authorized Lethal Response if containment fails. Her species had decimated 3 human colonies before the armistice. The war had ended 6 months ago, but hatred lingered like radiation. Marcus watched from the observation deck as the evening shift began. Dr. Holloway, the station commander, stood beside him reviewing daily reports. Subject remains stable, Holloway said, not looking up from his datapad. No feeding required. Their biology allows extended periods without sustenance. How long has it been? Marcus asked. 17 days? Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. 17 days without food? Their kind can survive months. Part of their evolutionary advantage. Made them excellent warriors. Holloway finally glanced at the cell below. Don't waste sympathy, Webb. That thing down there killed 47 people on New Gdansk. Tore through our defenses like paper. Marcus said nothing. He had read the reports. He had seen the footage. But he had also read the classified intelligence that came through last week. The documents that explained why she had been at New Gdansk in the first place. The colony had been experimenting on captured prisoners of her species. She had come for them. What happened after was war, brutal and simple. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. The image of those golden eyes haunted him. Eyes that showed intelligence, perhaps even suffering. The next morning, he made a decision that would change everything. The cafeteria synthesizer could produce almost anything if you knew the right codes. Marcus had befriended one of the xenobiology researchers who had studied the prisoner species during the war. 20 minutes of searching through old files gave him what he needed. Nutritional requirements, safe compounds, proper ratios. He synthesized a basic protein slurry mixed with mineral supplements and trace elements. It looked unappetizing by human standards, but according to the data, it would be digestible and nutritious for her physiology. He placed it in a sealed container and headed for the detention level. What's that? Security Officer Grant asked at the checkpoint. Feeding supplement for Subject 7, Marcus said, keeping his voice steady. Grant frowned. I didn't see any authorization. Marcus pulled up a fabricated work order on his datapad. He had learned to navigate the station's bureaucracy well enough to exploit its gaps. Holloway signed off this morning. Medical necessity protocols. Even hostile detainees can't be allowed to starve. Creates legal complications. It was technically true, though the authorization was several months old and applied to different circumstances. Grant studied the datapad, then shrugged. Your funeral if something goes wrong. You know the safety protocols? Never approach the containment field. Use the access port. Keep distance at all times. Grant waved him through. The detention level felt colder than usual. Emergency lights cast long shadows across the corridor. Marcus's footsteps echoed as he approached Cell 7. The prisoner sat motionless, her 4 arms still bound, her eyes closed. For a moment, he thought she might be dead. Then those golden eyes opened and fixed on him. Marcus felt the weight of her gaze. There was no aggression in it, no threat. Only exhaustion and something else he couldn't quite name. He approached the access port a small reinforced opening designed for essential maintenance. "I brought you something," he said quietly, knowing the translator array would convert his words into something she could understand. "Food. I know it's been a while." She didn't move, didn't respond. Marcus placed the container in the port and activated the transfer mechanism. The container slid through into the cell with a soft pneumatic hiss. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the prisoner reached out with one bound hand. The energy restraints fought her movement, but she managed to grasp the container. She brought it closer, examining it with those impossibly expressive eyes. When she finally consumed it, the action was slow and deliberate. Marcus found himself releasing a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "You're welcome," he said softly. The next day, Marcus returned with another portion. This time, the prisoner watched him from the moment he entered the corridor. He went through the same process, placing the container in the access port. As it slid through, she moved immediately to take it. "Can you understand me?" Marcus asked. The prisoner paused. Then, with deliberate slowness, she nodded once. "Good. I'm going to keep bringing you food. Every day. Is this adequate?" Another nod. Over the following weeks, a routine developed. Marcus would arrive each evening during the skeleton crew shift. He would bring the synthesized nutrients. Sometimes he would talk, sharing meaningless observations about station life. She never responded verbally, but her eyes tracked his movements with growing attention. He learned things by watching her. The way she held herself despite obvious discomfort from the restraints. The careful precision of her movements. The intelligence behind her gaze. On the 33rd day, everything changed. Marcus arrived to find Dr. Holloway waiting outside Cell 7. "Webb, I've been reviewing security footage." Holloway's expression was cold. "You've been feeding the prisoner without authorization." "The authorization was, don't." "I checked." "You forged that order." Holloway stepped closer. "Do you have any idea what you've done? This creature is a weapon. You've been treating it like a pet." "She's a person," Marcus said quietly. "It is a thing that kills humans." Holloway gestured toward the cell. 3 days from now, she's being transferred to a black site facility for enhanced interrogation. Your little friendship is over." Marcus felt ice in his veins. Enhanced interrogation was a euphemism. He had heard the rumors. Prisoners rarely survived. That night, Marcus lay awake, formulating a plan that was probably insane. But the thought of her being transferred to torture and death was something he couldn't accept. If humans wanted to claim moral superiority over their enemies, they had to actually be better. The escape attempt happened during the 3rd shift changeover, when security was at its thinnest. Marcus had spent weeks studying the systems, identifying weaknesses. He used his credentials to access the detention level one final time. The prisoner watched as he approached not the access port, but the main control panel. "I'm getting you out," Marcus said. "This is going to be dangerous. For both of us. But I can't let them transfer you." Her golden eyes widened with understanding. Marcus's fingers flew across the controls. Override codes he had pieced together from fragments of maintenance logs. Emergency protocols. The restraints around her forearms flickered and died. The containment field began to weaken. Alarms shrieked through the corridor. "Go!" Marcus shouted, pointing toward the emergency evacuation route. "The maintenance tunnels lead to the cargo bay. There's a transport ship scheduled to depart in 8 minutes. It's automated. Get on board and hide in the cargo containers. The ship's route passes near neutral space." She stood, towering and terrible, finally free. For a moment, Marcus wondered if he had made a fatal mistake. She could kill him effortlessly. Instead, she placed one massive hand gently on his shoulder. The gesture was unmistakable. Gratitude. Then she was moving, faster than something her size should be able to move. Disappearing into the maintenance access, security forces arrived within minutes. They found Marcus standing beside the empty cell. He didn't resist arrest. As they led him away, he glimpsed a monitor showing the cargo bay. The automated transport ship was launching on schedule, bound for the outer colonies. The tribunal was swift. Marcus was charged with treason, aiding an enemy combatant, and compromising station security. The military prosecutor demanded the maximum penalty. But the case became complicated when several pieces of evidence emerged during the trial. Someone had leaked classified files about the experiments at New Gdansk. Public opinion began to shift. Questions arose about the treatment of prisoners, about the moral boundaries of warfare. Marcus became an unexpected symbol, though he never sought it. The sentence was harsh, but not fatal. 10 years in a labor colony. Marcus accepted it without complaint. 3 years into his sentence, something remarkable happened. A diplomatic vessel arrived at the penal colony bearing representatives from the former enemy species. They carried with them a formal petition for Marcus's release, along with testimony about his actions and their impact on post-war reconciliation efforts. The prisoner he had freed, whose name he learned was Kella, had become an ambassador. She spoke of the human who had shown her mercy when mercy was forbidden. Her testimony moved even the hardest military officials. Marcus was released early. His record annotated with commendations for contributing to interspecies peace. Years later, he stood at a newly built embassy, watching humans and Kay